Welcome to Miskata, where every story hides a shadow and every truth wears a mask. Tonight's story is about a signal that was never meant to be heard, but once it played, nothing remained the same. Mistkatha, India's home for eerie audio tales, urban legends, and late-night mysteries. Subscribe for weekly whispers from the mist. Our story begins in the dead of night, in the satellite town of Kaveri Nagar. The rain had been falling for hours, washing the streets clean, leaving only the lonely glow of traffic lights on the wet asphalt. Inside a small, unassuming building on the edge of town, a single light was on. It was 2:47 a.m. when R.J. Rohan sat alone in his booth. He was the host of Night Whispers, a show for the lonely souls navigating the darkness alongside him. The long-haul truckers, the insomniacs, the heartbroken. His voice was a familiar comfort, a steady presence in the vast, silent expanse of the night. He saw his listeners not as an audience but as fellow travelers. But that night, something was different. A persistent, flickering light on his receiver caught his eye. It signaled a transmission on an unknown frequency, one that wasn't on any official station list. It was a ghost signal, a whisper from the void. Curiosity got the better of him. He patched the signal through to his headphones.
Hello, this is Radio 94.8 FM. Is anyone there? Who's on the line?
Help! Me! They're watching!
The voice was thin, stretched across a vast distance and warped by static. But the terror within it was unmistakable. Rohan froze, his hand hovering over the console. A cold dread washed over him. He knew that frequency. He hadn't seen it light up his board in years, but he could never forget it. That frequency hadn't been active for 15 years. Rohan dug into old records and found something chilling. The frequency once belonged to a pirate station called Echo 107, shut down after its host, Ananya Rao, vanished live on air. Her last words? "They're watching." Rohan played the signal again, slowed it down. Hidden under the static, a whisper of coordinates.
These are GPS coordinates, near the old forest tower?
The forest floor was a sodden mess, each step a cold, sucking sound in the oppressive quiet. Rohan pushed through the final line of skeletal trees, and there it was. The tower stood silent, a rusted skeleton against the moonless sky, forgotten by time. He approached the base, his breath catching in the frigid air. The chain-link gate, once secured, hung open on a single hinge, groaning softly in the wind. A low, almost imperceptible hum seemed to emanate from the structure itself, a deep thrum that vibrated through the soles of his boots. He began to climb the narrow metal stairs, his flashlight beam trembling, cutting a nervous path through the darkness. Each step echoed with a hollow clang, a lonely drumbeat announcing his ascent into the unknown. The control room at the top was a capsule of decay. Dust motes danced in his flashlight beam, and the air was thick with the smell of ozone and damp metal. But amidst the neglect, the old broadcast console still glowed faintly, its analog dials and meters bathed in a ghostly green light. A single red light blinked with a steady, impossible pulse. On air.
Impossible. This place was shut down years ago. The power lines were cut.
A sudden vibration shattered the silence. His phone, which had lost its signal miles back, lit up the small room. The screen read, "Unknown number." He hesitated, his thumb hovering over the screen. The call was coming from nowhere, yet it was here. As his finger swiped to answer, a voice crackled through the speaker, distorted and thin, like a signal stretched across an impossible distance.
You shouldn't have come here.
The line went dead. Instantly, the console lights flickered and died, plunging the room into absolute blackness. The low hum ceased, and then, his phone signal vanished again, the screen showing no service. But the silence was immediately broken by a new sound. A hiss from the radio speakers growing louder. Through the static, he heard something that made his blood run cold. A voice, echoing from the radio. It was his own.
Distorted echo. You shouldn't have come here.
Good evening. We begin with breaking news that has sent a chill through the city's late-night listeners. Esteemed local radio host Rohan Kumar, the familiar voice of Radio 94.8's Midnight Murmurs, has been reported missing. The alarm was raised early this morning after he failed to sign off from his overnight show and did not return home. Police discovered his vehicle abandoned near the old, decommissioned Forest Broadcast Tower, a location known more for local ghost stories than for evening drives. There were no signs of a struggle, but his personal effects, including his wallet and phone, were left untouched inside the car. The scene has been described by investigators as unsettlingly quiet. But the most baffling detail in this developing story comes from his own radio station. Approximately 2 hours after his scheduled show ended, the station's master control room received a live broadcast. The signal was faint, riddled with static, but it was unmistakably transmitted from Rohan Kumar's assigned microphone frequency. The audio contained no discernible words, only what technicians described as a desperate looping echo. The broadcast lasted for 7 minutes before abruptly cutting out.
In the weeks and months that followed, the official investigation went cold. Rohan Kumar was never found. The 7-minute broadcast was analyzed by experts, but its origin could never be traced. It simply appeared on the airwaves, a ghost in the machine, and then vanished. But out here, on the lonely stretches of highway that cut through the forests, a new legend was born. Truck drivers and late-night commuters started sharing stories. They spoke of a voice that would bleed through their speakers, a faint call for help that seemed to ride the static between stations. They say it's Rohan, still calling out, trapped in a signal that no frequency owns. A phantom broadcast from a tower that has been silent for decades, forever searching for a listener. You've been listening to Mist Kata, where the mist never clears and the mystery never ends. If this story sent chills down your spine, hit like, share, and subscribe, and join us again for another Whisper from the Dark.